she turned to you a little bit
Yeah.
after the fever
I
score.
didn't answer no Kahleah Clark questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
That's enough.
And again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
They tried to tear me down because they knew they couldn't rise to my level. Now I'm still here. Where are they?
Ever since Kahleah Clark took her first WNBA dribble, it's been clear this isn't just another rookie story. This is a full-blown disruption. A generational talent didn't just enter the league, but she broke out into it. With every logo three, every dime on the break, every step back in a defender's face, Kahleah has been flipping the script. She doesn't carry herself like a rookie. She carries herself like she owns the place. And that swagger, that confidence, it hasn't just caught attention, it's shaken the foundation. Because here's the truth, a lot of these WNBA vets aren't welcoming Kahleah Clark. They're trying to survive her. You can see it in the fouls, harder than necessary. In the interviews, it was colder than expected. In the glances, the body language, the unnecessary chirping after whistles. This isn't a competition, this is panic. The league sees what's happening. A newcomer is outscoring stars, outselling veterans, and outdrawing entire franchises in ticket sales and viewership. That's not just success, that's dominance. And with dominance comes fear. Not the fear of physical pain or a bad game. The fear of being replaced, of losing relevance, of being outshined on your own turf by someone half your age and already twice as popular. So let's pull back the curtain and examine what's really happening. We're breaking down the players who've taken shots, verbal and physical, and what their actions reveal about the pressure Kahleh's putting on their legacy. Because when greatness walks in the door, the ones clinging to the spotlight start throwing shade. The WNBA is changing, and Kahleah Clark is the reason. When a veteran talks about reality, it usually means something's bothering them. And in Diana Taurasi's case, that something was Kahleah Clark.
Reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side, where you look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time.
It was the quote heard around the league. A subtle jab dressed as wisdom. But let's be honest, this wasn't mentorship. This was a defensive maneuver. A Hall of Famer, a 20-year WNBA icon trying to remind the world and herself that the league still belonged to her era. Except, it didn't. Because Kahleah Clark wasn't rattled. She didn't blink. She kept hooping, dropping dimes, drilling threes, and dominating the headlines while Taurasi watched her numbers fade into the background. And what looked like a confident statement at the time? In hindsight, it feels more like a preemptive strike. A warning not for Kahleah, but for everyone else. Don't crown her yet. That's what Taurasi wanted us to believe. But months later, the facade cracked, the edge in her voice dulled. Suddenly, that same veteran who talked about grown women and levels had a different tone.
She was a college kid.
College kid back then.
Not
Now
anymore.
we got to get professional.
Kahleah's grown.
Kahleah has grown.
Boy, Kahleah's amazing.
Yeah, Kahleah has grown. So we're excited for that.
That's not just a change of heart, that's survival instinct kicking in. Because when someone rewrites the rules in real time, when she passes you up in popularity, impact, and performance, you have two choices: dig in or give in. And Taurasi? She chose the latter. This wasn't a welcome speech. It was a flare sent up by a legend who saw the future storming through the front door wearing number 22. And let's not sugarcoat it, they're scared. Not scared of Kahleah the person, but of what she represents. The end of an era. The rise of a new face of the league. And the painful truth that their spotlight is getting dimmer by the day. Taurasi's warning shot wasn't just a soundbite, it was the first tremor of fear. There are moments when a player says something that doesn't sound like a jab until you really listen. During a media interview, Breanna Stewart was asked a simple question about Kahleah Clark. The kind of softball question that usually gets a polite, respectful answer. But instead of praise or diplomacy, Stewart delivered a response that turned heads and tightened jaws. Watch closely.
Does Kahleah Clark need a championship to be considered one of the greats in women's college basketball history?
Yeah, she does.
That wasn't a passing comment. That was a boundary being drawn. A challenge being issued. A way for one of the league's biggest names to remind everyone that her path to greatness wasn't built on hype, it was built on banners. And yet, beneath the cool tone and veteran calm was something else. Insecurity. Because Kahleah Clark is doing what Stewart never had to do. and it is carry an entire league spotlight as a rookie. She's packing arenas, breaking viewership records, and dominating the conversation daily, not years into her career, but from the jump. Statistically, Caitlyn's already outperforming Stewart in efficiency, creation, and impact. She's got a higher usage rate. She draws more defensive attention. She's the engine of her team and the league's biggest draw. So what does a seasoned MVP do when a rookie starts shaking the walls? She leans on legacy. She moves the goalposts. She clings to the one thing Clark doesn't have yet, a ring. But that's the thing about fear, it doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it's quiet. It sounds like gatekeeping, like cool dismissals and passive lines drawn in the sand. Stewart wasn't just protecting the idea of championships. She was protecting her era. Because deep down, even she knows Caitlyn doesn't need a ring to take over. She already has. Sometimes it's not about what's said, it's about what's done.
Right, she's competitive and she wants excellence and she wants it now, and that's what makes her great. Foul call on Alicia Clark, and that is her second. And it'll put Caitlin Clark to the stripe.
Oh yeah, that's a foul.
When Alicia Clark delivered a blatant smack to Caitlyn's face, there was no apology, no explanation. Just a cold, deliberate act that spoke louder than any post-game quote ever could. That wasn't basketball. That was frustration. That was fear. Because Caitlyn wasn't just playing well, she was becoming the story. And for some veterans, that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when the spotlight shifts so suddenly. After the game, Alicia didn't backtrack or clarify. She doubled down. And when asked to weigh in on the league's obsession with Clark, her answer wasn't just dismissive, it was defensive.
I just want to hear your thoughts about just the whole conversation surrounding Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you have people that have never spoken to a single player in this league and asked us our thoughts. And you're out here making assumptions based on behalf of these notions that you're creating in your head, these storylines you're creating in your head. And so I don't pay it any mind. Charles Barkley has never talked to any of us. All these people that are on these platforms talking, they've never talked to us. And so for me, it's noise.
The tone said it all. The message wasn't just aimed at the media, it was aimed at the moment. At the wave Caitlyn brought into the league. Alicia Clark, a seasoned vet, wasn't just brushing off narratives. She was pushing back against a reality that didn't include her in the headlines anymore. She didn't want to hear about Caitlyn. She didn't want to talk about Caitlyn. She wanted the noise to stop. But the problem is, it's not noise. It's a movement. And in their matchup, the scoreboard told the truth. Caitlyn dropped 20 points, dished 9 assists, and controlled the game. And Alicia just scored 5 points on limited shots. The impact gap was undeniable. What we saw wasn't just a hard foul or a frustrated interview. It was a veteran being forced to watch a rookie pass her by in real time on national television. That slap wasn't just contact, it was a message. And deep down, Alicia Clark knows exactly what's coming. There's a certain brand of veteran toughness that gets worn like armor. Trash talk, extra bumps, subtle elbows after the whistle. It's not about defense, it's about sending a message. You're not welcome here. And that's exactly what Victoria Vivians tried to deliver when she matched up with Caitlin Clark.
She comes off a pin down here, wide open. Bang!
We might need to update the graphic now.
From the opening tip, Vivians came with a chip on her shoulder. She played physically. She played loudly. She played like she had something to prove, not to win the game, but to put the rookie in her place. But the problem is, Caitlin Clark doesn't have a place, she makes her own. Vivians tried everything, words, contact, little acts of intimidation, but none of it worked. Clark didn't react. She didn't retaliate. She just kept hooping, scoring, facilitating, controlling the pace, dictating the game. And when reporters asked Caitlin about the physicality, about the tension, about the constant hits she takes night after night, her answer wasn't bitter. It was real.
Yeah, I think just being competitive is who I am. It's what I've done my whole career. I think at times there's ways I can probably channel it a little bit better, but that's just basketball at the end of the day. No, that's never gonna change. I'm never gonna lose that. I feel like I'm getting hammered.
That last line, feel like I'm getting hammered. It says everything. She knows what's happening. She knows she's being targeted, and she's still not backing down. Because Clark isn't here to be liked. She's not here to play emotional games with veterans trying to protect their turf. She's here to win. And that's exactly what she did. Vivians brought the fight. Caitlin brought the finesse. And by the end of the game, all the pushing and chirping meant nothing, because Vivians got outplayed, outclassed, and outscored. She wanted to shake the rookie. Instead, she just confirmed what the league's slowly starting to realize: you can't rattle someone who already knows they belong. Kahleah Copper doesn't get rattled easily. She's been through playoff wars. She's a finals MVP. She's known for playing on the edge, with emotion, with fire. But when she went head-to-head with Caitlin Clark, something felt different. There wasn't just tension, it was personal. From the jump, Copper came out with energy, trying to assert herself, trying to remind everyone that she was the alpha in the building. And for a while, it looked like classic Copper, physical, vocal, intense. But then Caitlin started cooking. Quietly, efficiently, and that's when the cracks started to show.
Leaking out behind the defense. Copper taking it at Clark, who just had to foul her. That was a smart foul there by Caitlin Clark, just her first. And what would have been a...
After a foul, Copper didn't just give a stare down or a quick word. She exploded. Got right in Clark's face, screaming, trying to break through the rookie's armor with pure aggression. But Caitlin didn't give her the satisfaction. No reaction, no trash talk. Just a cold, emotionless line that instantly flipped the power dynamic. It's just a foul. And that's what broke Copper, because you can't dominate someone who won't let you. You can't rattle someone who's already playing 5 steps ahead. And in that moment, Clark proved something Copper didn't expect. She was unshakable. The numbers backed it up. Clark finished with 29 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds, and 4 threes on 50% shooting. A masterclass in control. And Copper? Yes, she scored 32 points, but it came on an inefficient 6 of 17 from the field. And the rest of her box score? 0 assists, 5 turnovers. All gas, no control. And it didn't end there. Off the court, the contrast is just as stark. Caitlin's jersey sales, triple Coppers, her games, double the viewership, social media buzz, endorsements, highlight clips, all eyes are on Clark. And that's where the frustration really lives. It's not about one game. It's not about one foul. It's about what Caitlin represents: a new era, a new face, a new force in a league that struggled to hold mainstream attention until now. So when Copper lashed out, it wasn't about stopping Caitlin's game. It was about trying desperately to slow down her momentum. But the problem is, you can't stop momentum with noise. You can't outshine the future by yelling in its face. And in the end, all Copper's outburst did was highlight what the numbers and the moment had already proven. She lost control. Caitlin never had to grab it. She already owned it. There are fouls that stop the play, and then there are fouls that try to make a point.
Indiana Fever in the Chicago sky here from Wintrust Arena. The Fever have really stretched out this one.
Diamond didn't go for the ball. She wasn't trying to contest. She made one decision and one decision only: hit Caitlin Clark. It was a full-speed collision on a fast break. No play developing, no shot attempt in motion. Just a blatant body check that sent Clark flying to the floor and the crowd into stunned silence. Diamond didn't follow up, didn't plead her case, didn't look back. Because in her mind, the point had already been made. This wasn't just about sending Caitlin to the floor. It was about trying to bring her back down to earth. A physical attempt to re-establish hierarchy. To remind the rookie that there are rules in this league. That the spotlight has to be earned, not handed over. But that's where it all fell apart, because Clark didn't lay there. She didn't wince. She didn't even argue the call. She popped up, looked Diamond in the eyes, and walked straight to the line. No drama, no retaliation, just the kind of cold, calculated response that cuts deeper than any shove ever could. And in that instant, everything flipped. The moment Diamond thought would shake Clark, only confirmed she couldn't. You don't shake a player who's been hunted every night since her first tip-off. You don't intimidate someone who already knows they're the most talked-about athlete in the league. And you definitely don't stop her with a single foul. All Diamond did was expose herself, show the world how quickly defenders are running out of options. Because Caitlin isn't just beating teams on the scoreboard, she's beating them mentally. She's setting the tempo, owning the spotlight, and daring defenders to try something, anything, to knock her off her game. And when their only answer is a reckless foul, that's not physicality, that's desperation. Diamond wanted to deliver a message. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese didn't just arrive in the WNBA as rookies, they came with history. History forged in March Madness, fueled by media narratives and supercharged by millions of fans who picked sides and never looked back. But the difference is, Caitlin moved on. Angel, she carried it.
Clark, hammer. 3 Sky players coming over.
When they met in the pros, it didn't take long for that tension to boil over. In one of their first WNBA matchups, Reese delivered a hip check that sent Clark crashing to the floor. It was jarring, blatant, and later upgraded to a flagrant one. What made it even louder? The smirk. That's what told the truth. This wasn't just a hard foul. It wasn't a tactical stop. It was personal payback, an emotional outburst disguised as physicality. And when the dust settled, Reese didn't de-escalate, she doubled down.
I guess some people got a special whistle.
A not-so-subtle shot at Clark, implying she gets calls because of favoritism, hype, media protection. But here's the problem with that narrative. The numbers don't back it up. Caitlin Clark averages 4.1 free throw attempts per game, less than the league average for guards. Angel Reese, on the other hand, she averages 5.2 per game, so who's really getting the special treatment? The numbers say one thing, the quote says another. And that gap? That's where the fear lives. Because Reese isn't losing a stat sheet battle. She's losing relevance in real time. In head-to-head matchups, Caitlin's stat line tells the story. 21.4 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, 8.2 assists, 45.3% field goals. Compare that to Angel Reese, 12.1 points, 8.3 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 39.1% field goals. That's not just a gap, that's a gulf. Reese plays rough, Clark plays sharp, Reese throws elbows, Clark throws dimes, Reese barks at refs. Clark lets the box score do the talking. And sure, Reese is physical. She hustles, rebounds, plays hard. But when her stat line can't keep up, and her team is getting cooked, the frustration shows, the hits get harder. The quotes get pettier. The focus shifts from playing the game to undermining the opponent. That's not confidence, that's insecurity. And here's the bigger truth. Caitlin doesn't need to respond. She doesn't need to retaliate. She knows the best way to shut down noise is with buckets, and she delivers every single time. In all 3 matchups against Reese this season, Clark has dropped 20-plus points and orchestrated her team's offense with surgical precision. Meanwhile, Reese struggles to keep up defensively and gets exposed in isolation coverage. And still, she smirks. She chirps. She leans into the villain role like it's armor. But it really is a mask. One that barely covers the pressure she feels watching the league shift under her feet. Because this isn't college anymore. The WNBA is Caitlin's world now. And Reese? She's stuck throwing elbows while Clark's out here throwing history-making performances. When you look at all the fouls, trash talk, and post-game deflections, one pattern becomes clear. They're trying everything and nothing's working. Angel Reese tried to overpower her. Kahleah Copper tried to intimidate her. Vivians tried to provoke her. DeShields tried to knock her flat. Caitlin Clark didn't just survive it, she thrived through it. Dropped 20 points or more on Reese every time. Cooked Copper while staying cool. Outclassed Vivians without saying a word. And stared down DeShields like she was already planning the next play. This isn't just resilience, it's dominance. And when veterans start cracking under the pressure of a rookie, that's not just competition, that's fear. Some players foul to stop a fast break, others foul out of frustration. Kennedy Carter fouled to send a message.
Jumper is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
In one of the most talked about moments of Caitlin Clark's rookie season, Carter delivered a blindside off-ball shove that immediately went viral. No play developing, no ball in sight, just pure intent. It wasn't physicality, it was personal. And Caitlin's reaction? Not anger, not retaliation, just calm.
We saw the play in the third quarter where Carter kind of decked you. How do you respond to that and stay within yourself?
I feel like I'm just at the point where you accept it and don't retaliate. Like, just let them hit you, be what it is. Don't let it get inside your head and know it's coming. I think at this point, I know I'm going to take a couple hard shots a game. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know.
That's how you know she's already built for the moment. She didn't let it rattle her. She expected it. She absorbed it and then went back to work. While Carter threw a cheap shot, Clark dropped 18 points, handed out 7 assists, and shot efficiently from the field. Carter, 9 points, 2 assists, and a shooting percentage that screamed frustration more than finesse. And here's the twist of fate. Months later, Kennedy Carter was off the roster. Locker room tension, free agency limbo. The kind of fallout that begs the question, was it just bad timing? Or was it karma for trying to take down the league's new face? Because in this league, talent isn't enough, composure matters, leadership matters. And Carter's moment didn't show strength, it showed panic. She didn't just shove Caitlin Clark, she shoved her way out of the league. Are they scared? Maybe you won't hear them say it out loud, you won't see them admit it in post-game interviews, but look closer. Because fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it shows up as a shove to the back. Sometimes it hides behind passive-aggressive quotes. Sometimes it masks itself as veteran toughness. But the truth is, Caitlin Clark has forced a reckoning. She's not just a rookie, she's a disruption, a cultural reset, a walking headline, highlight reel, and marketing machine, wrapped in the game of the most fearless shooter the league's seen in years. And the veterans? They aren't just playing defense anymore. They're fighting for relevance. Because every time Caitlin steps on the court, she's not just making buckets, she's shifting the spotlight, stealing attention, breaking records, changing the conversation. And the response from the league's old guard? Hard fouls, cold quotes, thinly veiled resentment. But here's the problem with trying to bully greatness. It doesn't flinch, it finishes. Caitlin Clark leads all rookies in points, assists, and three-pointers. She's top 5 in jersey sales. Her games double the league's average viewership. And every arena she walks into suddenly feels like a sold-out concert. This isn't just a strong rookie season. This is a takeover. The league doesn't need to fear Caitlin Clark. But whether they admit it or not, they already do.